Good morning, friends. This is Y. Venkanna, Department of Computer Science, Government Degree College for Women, Khammam. So today our subject is Relational Database Management System. And among those, today our topic is concurrency control. Concurrency control. So before going to discussion of concurrency controls, so what is concurrency control? So what is the transactions? So generally, a transaction can be defined as a group of tasks or group of tests. A single task is the minimum processing unit which cannot be divided into further are called the transaction. Simply we can say it is a task or it is an activity. And for example, if you have to take bank transactions, so in this bank transactions, a bank employee can be transfers some X amount from A to B. So this is one type of transactions. This is one type of transactions. Or a student can be share some textbooks or some material from one student to another student. So this is a transaction. Simply we can say that a transaction is nothing but an activity. So suppose here the transactions can be performed in different type of pages. So for example, first a transaction is begin. A transaction is begin. So begin automatically it will the transaction will be comes from in active mode. In active mode. So whenever it comes to the active mode, it performs two types of activities. One is it will be success or it will be failed. If it will be failed, if a transaction will be failed or if it will be success, then it can display a message partially committed. Partially committed. If it is a failed, automatically it can display a aborted message. Ante the transactions will not be completed. The transaction will not be completed. So automatically it will be end. So if it cannot be failed, it will be display a partial committed message. Again, if the transaction will be checked at partial completed stage, it will be success, then it can display a committed message. If it is a failed, automatically it will be goes to the aborted message. If it is success, it will be completed. So finally end of this process. So in this way, in these stages, the transaction will be activated. In this ways, the transaction will be activated. Next, one more is concurrency control. The concurrency control can be depend upon the transaction. The concurrency control can be depend upon the concurrency control. The concurrency control means the ability to offer concurrency, the ability to offer concurrency in a unit to the database. So simply we can say that in the ability of the database to allow multiple users to effect multiple transactions. More than one user can be activate more than one transaction. So this is the basic information about the transaction under concurrency control. Now we have to discuss about the concurrency control. So concurrency control, already we have to discuss. Concurrency is the ability of the database. Ability of the database to allow multiple users. So if a transaction can be allows the multiple users, we have to take some precautions. We have to take some precautions. So that's why there in generally the concurrency control can be divided into three types. A transaction in a concurrency control, there will be three types. Those are: number one is locking method, second one is time stamping method, third one is optimistic method, last one is optimistic method. So today first of all we have to discuss about the locking method. So what is lock, how to lock, how many phases of locking are there. So in locking method, a lock is a variable associated with the data item which controls the access of the data item. So lock is a variable, it is associated with the data, that controls access of the data are called the locking method. Again, the locking method can be divided into two types. One is lock cardinality, second one is lock type. Lock cardinality and the second one is lock type. So now we have to discuss about the what is lock cardinality. Lock cardinality means if a database is basically represented as a collection of data item. Simply we can say that a database is a collection of logically related information. Here a database collection of related data item, and the size of data item chosen as the unit of protection by a concurrency control are called the cardinality. So generally the cardinality can be defined in 5 phases. Those are: number 1 is database level. Simply we can say that if we can perform a lock cardinality, if we perform a locking on the database or something, that those are basically 5 types of locks. So that is database level lock, table level lock, page level lock, row level lock, and field level lock. These are the 5 types of locks can be implemented at lock cardinality. So now we have to discuss about the database level lock. So the database level lock is the entire database locked. That is, it prevents the use of any tables in the database by a transaction. If T1, T2 are two transactions, if T1, T2 are two transactions performed on the single database, if T2 can be accessed or transaction 2 can be accessed, then automatically it will be lock on the T1. It will be lock on the entire database on T1 transaction. So this is called as database level locking. It is suitable for batch processing. So group data operations can be performed by using the database level locking. It is a very slow level locking. Why? Because the large database can be implemented. Suppose I have to perform 2 transactions on single database. So that is transaction 1 and transaction 2. If transaction 1 is accessing, till the transaction 2 will be wait till the transaction 1 will be completed. So this is called as elapsed time. So what is elapsed time, what is wastage of time can be discussed in the concept of a scheduling. So it is unsuitable for online multi-user database management system. Why? Because in online a single database can be performed more than one users. So one user perform a specific database, so another user cannot be possible to activate or to access that database. Why? Because automatically it will be locked to another transaction. So actually this is not the useful for online transactions. So it will be, that's why we can say this type of locking is very slow. Second one is table level locking. So in table level locking, the entire table is locked. So in a database we have to access more than one table. In table level locking we have to lock the table is locked. So if the access is to any row by a transaction. Suppose if T1, T2 are two transactions perform on a single table. If T2 the transaction 2 perform on the table, then T1 will be locked. If a transaction requires to access too many tables, Each table may be locked. Each table may be locked. So next point is to transaction. A transaction can be accessed the same database, but they access in different table. A single transaction can be accessed the different tables and a single database. It is less restrictive than database level locking. Simply we can say it is too better than compared to database level locking, but it is not suitable for multi-user. It is not suitable multi-user. Why? Because if we have to update any information in a single table, the transaction cannot be accessed or the cannot be performed any other user a particular table. So that's why it will be accessed for single user only. Next, page level locking. Next one is page level locking. So the entire disk or page is locked. In a page level locking, we have to lock the entire disk or the entire page. So the page is another name of blocked. A page is a fixed size such as 4K, 8K, 32K, 16K and 64K, like that. So it is just like a memory, 1 GB, 2 GB, TB, like that. A table can span several pages and each page contains several rows. So rows is nothing but a tuples. Rows is nothing but a tuples of one or more tables. It is a suitable for multi-user. It is a suitable for multi-user. Next one is row level locking. So row level locking is also called as the tuple level locking. It is also known as tuple level locking. In this, a particular row will be locked. In this case, we have to lock on a single row. A lock exists for each row in each table in a database. It allows current transactions to access different rows of same tables. It is less than database level locking. It is a small than database level locking and page level locking as well as table level locking. It is a small than compared to previous level lockings. It improves the availability of the data. It is high overhead cost. If we have to perform the row level lock, it is a high cost. It will be consist of high cost. Next, last one is attribute level locking. It is also called as field level, a single field locking, just like a primary key. A particular attribute is locked or called the field level locking. It is a very suitable for our examination field. It access the same row. It will be access the same row. It is multi-user database access. It requires a high level of computer overhead. It requires a high level of computer overhead. And the second one is lock type. So generally, already I told to you, the concurrency control can be locking method can be divided into two types. One is lock cardinality and second one is lock types. So here, now we have to discuss about the lock type. The DBMS mainly uses the following type of locking techniques. In lock types, the locking techniques can be divided into three types. One is binary lock, second one is shared or exclusive lock, and third one is two-phase locking method. It is also called as 2PL. So first of all, we have to discuss about the binary lock. So binary lock a binary lock can have two states or two values. A locked, those are a locked or unlocked. The locked can be indicated with a binary number 1 and unlocked can be indicated with the 0. That means it have only two states, one is 0 or 1. So a distinct lock is associated with each data item. With each data item. Let a item is x. So for example, I will take the x. If the value of log on x is 1, x is 1 means x is the data item, x is not locked. Item x cannot accessed by database operations that request of item, that request of that data item. And the next one is unlocked. If a value of lock on x is 0, in the sense x is not locked. So if x is not locked, we have to perform all the transactions on x. That means that item x can be accessed when the database is requested. If you have to request it, why? Because it is unlocked. If it is a lock, we can't perform any operations on a particular database. We cannot perform in the particular database. Either those are either table level or database level or page level or row level or field level, whatever it is. If it is unlocked, we can perform all the transactions. These are two type of operations. Okay now, these are two type of operations. And the binary lock can be divided into two types. One is lock item and second one is unlock item. Already we can discuss. The lock item is indicated with 1, the unlock item indicated with 0. So we have to discuss about the what is lock item. A transaction access to item x. So x is a particular task. Suppose x is a particular task. If a transaction can access to item x by lock item x operations, then lock of x, and that means x is item. So if I can perform the lock, the transaction forced to wait. If lock x equal to 0, if lock x equal to 0, the transaction set to 1 means locked. So if x equal to 0, then another transaction will be locked. Why? Because I have to perform only one transaction. Second one is unlock item. It is completely reverse than lock item. A transaction can access to item x by lock item x operations. If x equal to 0, so that x may be accessed by other transactions. X equal to 0. Why? Because it is unlocked. If x equal to 0, it is locked. So if it is locked, we can't perform any operations. If it is unlocked, we have to perform all the operations. So that's why here in unlock section we can indicate it with x equal to 0. Here x is the data item. So the time only one transaction can hold a lock. The time can be hold, one transaction can hold it a lock. So this is called as the unlock. So second one is shared or exclusive. Shared lock. So shared or exclusive. Shared lock is a lock which can be used to read only. And we cannot perform any operations. We cannot write that lock. If we have to perform the shared lock, it is only reading lock. If a transaction T as a lock on data item x, then T can be read x only but not write. Why? Because it is a shared lock. So multiple shared lock can be placed simultaneous on a data items. And next one is exclusive lock. So exclusive lock, it is a write lock. So shared lock is read lock, exclusive lock is a write lock. If a transaction T as lock on data item x, if a transaction T as lock on a data item X. So T can be read as well as the write on data item X. On data item X, it can be placed on data item at a time. It can be placed the data item at a time. So it is, that is, multiple transaction does not modify the same data simultaneously. The same data simultaneously. And the third one is two-phase locking. So two-phase locking can be indicated with 2PL. 2PL also called as a two-phase locking. A two-phase locking handle, it's a lock in two distinct phases during the execution of a database. During the execution of the database, those are, number one is expanding phase and the second one is sinking phase. Number one is expanding phase, second one is sinking phase. In expanding phase is also known as growing phase. In expanding phase is also known as growing phase. In a lock are required and no lock are released. In a growing phase, in a lock are acquired and no lock are released. That is, no lock, the number of locks can be increased. That is, the number of locks can be increased. In sinking phase, the another name of sinking phase is contracting phase. So in this phase, in this lock are released and no locks are acquired. No locks are acquired. So in expanding phase, locks are released. In sinking phase, no locks are acquired. So that is the main difference between two-phase locking. In these two phases, the lock can be activated. That's why you can say that these are the two-phase locking. Okay, thank you for giving this opportunity. Thank you one and all.